be talking about pivoting, and we also call it springing. So springing in loafers. So springing in loafers, be it your loafers as the apron, or the old loafers doesn't have the apron, or the old loafers as the wingtip or the counter. So I'll be giving you a trick that I've discovered. I developed how to make it easy for you. You guys will make some loafers sometimes, and your pattern is going to go like that. It's going to go wide like that. And when you finish making the shoe, when the customer wears the shoe, there's going to be an opening at the top line of the shoe after it's finished. So this problem is going to save it. So take note of this. So let's first do a normal plain loafers that does not have an apron, right? So let's assume this is a pattern that I made for a loafers that I made that has an apron, right? So but let's assume that this loafers doesn't have an apron, and this is the pattern here, right? So let's disregard all this here. So this is the pattern. It goes like that and like that. So no apron there. But this is the trick. Anytime you make a loafers, right, because you are going to spring, just do an imaginary line, assuming there's going to be an apron, even if there's not going to be an apron. So just draw the line, assuming there's going to be an apron. Just assume you're going to put an apron and put that line there. But you know that line is just there for a guide, so you can just make it like a dash, and pretend like there's going to be an apron. So now let's take out the apron. Let's bring out the apron. So yeah. So now we want to bring out the apron, right? So we're going to make sure from here to the vamp line, from here to the vamp line, we'll make sure it stays straight from the paper, the folded paper. So now we're about to take out the apron. So start marking it out, the apron from there. I know some of you used to perforate your pattern instead of using this pin method. I'm using it fine. So it's okay, I do that too sometimes. So then we'll stop there. And this is the point of the vamp point where the top line meets the vamp line, right? So, but before we spring it, still go forward, still punch it forward or mark it forward to the point where the what are they calling it? The apron stops, right? So still mark it right there. So then go back to that point, go back to that vamp point and spring it and pull it downwards, and make sure this part aligns with the straight line of the paper, right? So then we now mark again. So we mark here to where it stops. So there you go. So we got that there. So now you connect the lines from here. So what happened here is that we've cut out. Okay, let me first draw the line before I explain that part. So you draw the line. Just make sure you draw your line to be better than mine. Just because I'm not using this pattern. Everybody have how much line is fine. So before we cut this out, right? So I would let's cut that first. We'll see what happens. Let's cut that first. So we have the apron. Then we'll set that aside. I'm going for the vamp now. There you go. So now, so this is the imaginary line, remember? So then you put this part here, you make sure that this part goes straight, lays with the straight line on the paper. Then from there, you first draw a line like that. Draw a curved line also. You draw the curved line also like that. So then you mark from that point, right? Gradually, I know some of you might have different ways of the way you do your pattern. They're going to perforate, it's fine, doesn't matter. I also do that too sometimes. So this is the point where the apron starts. So you mark that point and you make sure you mark upward, so to indicate where the apron stops. So you keep on just marking your points. You mark the top line all through like that. Like that. So that's it. So you just use the ruler to connect the lines together. If your hand is straight, use your hand, but for this part, ruler is better to join that part. Very straight lines, and here you just trace up the line gradually like that. So remember, this is the point where the apron starts. So now this is where the magic is. So what we're going to do now is that, so we've marked where the apron stops, and this is the apron. So we're going to place the apron directly where to match the line where it came out from, and we try to make sure that we align this to be straight. So but what happens here is that sometimes this space is always too close. Like the way I see this, and I feel this is like too close to the line. So in case you want to tape it out, you won't be able to tape it out. So we can just remove from some few millimeters, maybe about 2 to 3 mm depending, not really from the top, but from this part, so you can just, but you make sure you are still starting from that point, that point where you start. So what I do sometimes is that I just draw some ruler from that point, so we are still maintaining that same point, and I don't really measure it, but you can measure it if you want, but it's just about 3 millimeters, so this shouldn't be more than 3 millimeters. So that line there, I just like curve it so it won't come out sharp. Just add some little curves in there, and here also add some curves, make it curve so that it come out curve. So you see, I'm just cutting mostly from the side, not from the top. So I'm just going to curve it there. So that means we're reducing that part of the apron a little bit, but it doesn't matter. That won't really make any much difference in our pattern. So cut that off. That's as well curved like that. So see. So now we're going to add up to the pattern. So you make sure you align it, make it straight, and I think it's okay like this. But if you want yours, if there should be more space, then you have to really cut it a little bit more again. So you allow it aligned, then you just trace that part out like that. So there you go. So then we cut it out. It out like that. But normally before we cut it out, if you want to add the stitch allowance and all of that, but I didn't really talk about that because that's not the point of this. So if you want to add your stitch allowance, that's the point. You can add your stitching allowance. And if you don't want to add it, if you want to do the zigzag method with the machine, or you want to use your hand, so you can still leave it there. So that's not really the main topic here, but so the main topic is about the springing. That's why I'm not going into details of that. So cut that out. So out there. Cut out the So there you go. As you can see how the pattern is straight and slant. So with this, you're not going to have any problem. So what normally happens if you use the former old way of springing is that your pattern becomes something like this. That's how your pattern looks. If your pattern looks like this, you are wrong. By the time you finish lasting this shoe, it's going to open up at the top line. But if your pattern is like this, you're good. So in the next video, I'll be showing you guys how to achieve the one that has the wing tip and the back counter. Make sure you watch the next video. See you then. Hey Souls, bespoke shoes.